سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. يروي الإمام البخاري في صحيحه عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال: قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم: حجبت النار بالشهوات وحجبت الجنة بالمكاره. Today's hadith is from from Imam Bukhari's Sahih collection, and it's brought to us by Abu Hurairah. May Allah be pleased with him. He heard the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam say that the hellfire is surrounded by the pleasures of this world, and Jannah is surrounded by the disliked things. First, I'd like to talk a little bit about the wording of this hadith, because in another narration you find the word huthat. Huthat means to surround something that is around it, but hujibat is a little bit different. It's kind of like a barrier or something that covers another object, so that once you cross this barrier, you will more than likely enter whatever it is that was blocking your path. So in this hadith, you have hujibat an-naru bishahawat. What barricades or surrounds nar are the pleasures, and what barricades or surrounds Jannah are the disliked things. So now talking about the meaning of the hadith, you have the two groups, you have the two destinations, the Jannah and Nar. You first look at the path of Jannah. You find that Jannah is surrounded by things that are disliked by our nafs. And what are the things that are disliked by the nafs? The nafs, by design, will dislike the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it will find difficulty with following through with the commands of Allah. And let's take a very simple example of this. Waking up for Fajr on time. This is something very difficult for the nafs. The fact that you're going to wake up at a difficult time of the night, maybe it ranges from 3 a.m. all the way till close to 7 a.m. and it moves throughout the year. You're going to wake up at this time of night, you're going to wash your face with cold water, and then you're going to stand in prayer for 10 minutes. If you told or asked any non-Muslim to try this out, they think you're crazy. The craziest part of it all is we do this every single night. For some of us, this becomes very easy. So we should step it up a little bit for the nafs. Why not try praying Fajr at the mosque? And it doesn't end there. When that becomes easy, you have the entire night to pray Qiyam. But of course, that's a little bit too much. Maybe a little bit too much for us, so we should take a few steps back. Taking the 5 daily prayers and praying them on time. It's not an easy task. It's not. Especially when we are doing something and we're doing it in the middle of it, and then we hear the call of adhan. Sometimes we may feel a little bit sad inside, or a little bit grudging a little bit that we're going to put away whatever it is we were doing, and then we're going to go fulfill our prayers. This may make us feel bad that we find difficulty with the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then that's okay. Because the way this is designed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is that these things aren't liked by the nafs. And it's hard for the nafs to give up whatever it was doing for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it's okay. Yes, it's okay that you found it difficult to wake up to pray Fajr. And yes, it's okay that you were sad when you turned down a job that gave you income from haram sources. And yes, it's okay that you felt a little bit anxious before Ramadan came. And that's okay, because inna sil'at Allahi ghaliyah wa inna sil'at Allahi hiya al-jannah. Surely the merchandise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is valuable and expensive, and the merchandise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is al-jannah. So making it to Jannah is hard. But what's even more okay, and what's better than that, is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us all the capability to make it to Jannah. And the only question is, if are we going to rise to that capability? So yes, it's hard, but it's something that must be pushed through in order to achieve what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has destined for us. And then on the other side, you have the side of Jahannam, hujibat an-naru bishahawat. Jahannam and hellfire is surrounded and barricaded by the pleasures of this world. Very interesting how we have ayat in the Quran, such as the one from Surah An-Nisa, that إِنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا بِآيَاتِنَا سَوْفَ نُصْلِيهِمْ نَارًا كُلَّمَا نَضِجَتْ جُلُودُهُمْ بَدَّلْنَاهُمْ جُلُودًا غَيْرَهَا لِيَذُوقُوا الْعَذَابَ إِنَّ اللَّهَ كَانَ عَزِيزًا حَكِيمًا. Surely for those who transgress against our verses and against our ayat, they will find in the hellfire punishment, such that their skins will burn off, and they will be replaced with new skins, so that they may experience the punishment again. This is a very scary verse. However, despite this verse, we still find ourselves sometimes falling into haram. Question is, why does that happen? Because once again, this is just the way this world was designed. It's so much that the fear of punishment is barricaded by so much pleasure that it blinds us from the fear of the punishment. Such that once we engage in the haram and then we cross this barrier, only then we find the punishment staring us in our face and we feel bad. So what do we do about this? From here, it's very important to be aware of every single time when our nafs begins to get a little bit happy, we take a moment and reflect on if this is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to be doing, or if this is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us to stay away from. Yes, it's hard to pause every single time something begins to happen and then think of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but that's just how it has to be. If we really want to avoid the punishment and enter Jannah, إن شاء الله. هذا والله أعلم. يروي الإمام البخاري في صحيحه عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم حجبت النار بالشهوات وحجبت الجنة بالمكاره. صدق رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. سبحانك اللهم بحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت